Hello, my friends. Welcome to this, a Johnny Vedmore read-through of the article, Epstein and Musk, SpaceX offenders. Yes, here we are. I've been waiting for this one, and some people almost got there before me, and so I've been carefully writing it up, researching it over a period of, since the last Musk-Epstein article. When I released Musk-Epstein, the Third Culture dossier, which of course is about Elon Musk going for a Jeffrey Epstein-funded training course at Edge on how to manipulate people's behavior. Now, Grok will tell you, nudge units use behavioral insight. It's not manipulation, but it's manipulation by another name. And it's a name that AI can be given to say, oh, no, that's legit. And the officials can be given, that's legit. They're not brainwashing you, you idiot. Don't be silly. Why would they be brainwashing you? You're paranoid. You're making conspiracy theories, my friend. You should stop doing that straight away. Yes, you've got yourself a sunglassed Johnny Vedmore here, about to read through my very special article, which comes after Musk and Epstein, the Third Culture dossier, or at least runs alongside it. That was about that behavioral manipulation course run by Richard Thaler in 2008. And the 2009, Musk attended again another one of the very special Edge masterclasses. But this was no ordinary masterclass, my friend. This was possibly the most special, because Epstein funded Edge teamed up with SpaceX to together train the elite in society on synthetic genomics and how to reprogram your cells like they were a computer. The step forward to transhumanism that we are told we're conspiracy theorists for talking about. Told I'm a conspiracy theorist for positing intelligence exists. I'm a conspiracy theorist for the fact that I'm researching the Epstein case. Hey, I'm a conspiracy theorist who's able to give you evidence, but it makes no difference. They'll just shout it out. I go on some of these Mario Nawfal rooms and stuff, and the people who, even before they know who I am, they're just shouting, you're conspiracy theorist, you're conspiracy theorist, even before they've read any work, even before there is an operation at hand. It's reaching peak now. People are going to be able to see it all around. This is fifth generation warfare. We're here. It starts somewhere, and the reason why it's happening is to get from one period to another period, one era to another era, one epoch to another epoch, and we are entering into that time right now, my friends. This is serious, beyond doubt. 5 to 6 years is what Eric Schmidt, who took part in the Edge Foundation courses generally throughout the years, Eric Schmidt said himself when he wrote with Kissinger as well, we're coming up to a point where things will happen that humans will understand things that we know, but we're not able to describe. You see what I mean? The essence of things. We'll be able to understand that. AI will advance so quickly over the next few years. Exponential growth is something people don't really understand once you get up to this level. And these guys have mapped it out for years. What they want to do is the same thing that every single ruler and every single tyrant has wanted to do throughout their entire life, which is search for the elixir of life. And that, my friend, is the biggest conspiracy out there. It's a conspiracy that holds true in the times of 15,000 BC all the way through to now. For sure, we have got people on the hunt for the elixir of life. And synthetic genomics is just that. And who's there funding the top people to research it? This is a course run by George Church and Craig Venter. I can't tell you how important they are within genomics. There's some of the people who did the... Well, I am going to describe, because hey, Hey, gang, I spent a long time writing articles and I need your help. I need your help. I need to buy microphones. I need to live life. I need your help. So we're about to read this, but please come be a supporter, come be a patron. I've been doing this a long time. I'm sitting watching people in X spaces and in other rooms who have no idea about the Epstein case at all. Zero. They don't know anything. Is everybody asking questions? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Who's doing this? Why are these people doing this? Why are people? And people like me have answers. We spent years. I helped research the books on it. One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 1 and 2. I helped research parts of those. I helped write parts of those. I've written over and over again. And you know, we will be ignored. The actual experts will be ignored because if you listen to the experts, you'll realize how much of a fit up this is. How much of a conspiracy this is and what the conspiracy is actually for, because it's all linked. It's all linked. With Epstein, it's not just child trafficking, it's not just arms dealing, it's not just financing, it's not just all of the rest of the stuff. It's something much more significant and important, pertinent right now. And that is these people want to develop a method to be able to control biology. The very nature of reality is under attack. At the same time, the very nature and essence of who we are, what we are as species is under attack. That's no conspiracy theory. That is proved in their own literature. That is proved in their own actions. That's proved in interview after interview. Words they use themselves. So, first of all, stop being naive. Switch on. Wake up. This is a time. We're going forward and we got to read this because this is an important one. And I think it'll give you a good understanding of some of the bad guys and some of the good guys. Here you go. We're at NEWSPASTE, and NEWSPASTE, my site, up here, newspaste.com. You can come here and you can find all links to all my stuff. So you can come and watch Truth Bomb, which is really enlightening fun. I take two experts. They go up against AI's official narrative. And of course, they destroy it, decimate it, because AI's official narrative is created by people like this. Yeah, Musk and Epstein. You can read the Third Culture dossier, the first part, really, of this. You can buy me a coffee. I need that help. I really do need that help. Look, here, my friend, is Jimmy Savile. This is one of my last articles before this. This was the last article for this. The Black Hand. This is number 8 of The Black Hand. Comrade Savile, inventor of hip-hop. It honestly is a fantastically interesting article about how he worked really and was recruited as an intelligence agent to push Western propaganda against Russia. And it's probably part of the reason why he was... everything was covered up in the same way that the Epstein case was. You can see loads here. The Pottinger Ultimatum will explain to you how the CIA took down Jeffrey Epstein, or at least the case against him, and how they co-opted it very early on. It's you can come on to Substack. Here you've got the unredacted flight lists and little black books. These are the things they're releasing to you from the White House with redactions. You can come here and you can read them at NEWSPASTE. I'm not doing this as a little hobby. This is a career. I'm putting in time into this, and I want you to come, and I want you to actually look at the information. I want you to see the sources. The reason why they don't put me on things like Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan is because I bring you sources. I don't just say, so-so said that, and I think this, and blah, 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 and ask question after question after question after question with the big show dance. I don't do that. I give you answers. I give you answers, and the answers are here. You want to see who was on the list? Come to newspaste.com where you will see it. There's loads. There's 8 parts of the Black Hand series. There's so much to see here. Really, 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 it's a site that's full of articles, full of information. These articles are long form, really detailed articles, including articles about there's 5 articles, Epstein 101, which came out of my working with Whitney Webb on One Nation Under Blackmail. Afterwards, I created the Epstein 101 series, which kind of went through the research when I was researching for the book. We're the people who actually have the information for you. And I can tell you people aren't looking because my life is hard. My career is hard. No one hears the truth. They hear people giving you the cover story over and over again. Tucker Carlson will have people on who will give you the cover story. Joe Rogan will have people on who will give you the cover story. They won't give you the true story, or you'll know that the CIA run your fucking society in America. The intelligence all over the world are deciding our future, the policies to implement, and all of the rest of that. Be a supporter of some proper work. Stop investing into media constructs. Listen, it is pretty clear that people like Tucker Carlson, whose father was clearly working for intelligence, Tucker Carlson went to CIA, the first port of call, and claims he didn't get a job, and then ended up one of the main mouthpieces on the mainstream media, and then reformed as the mainstream media moves digital. They've made him the biggest star in the world, and they don't act like it's mainstream. That's crazy. Tucker Carlson isn't independent. Tucker Carlson's father wasn't independent. And that probably, family line-wise, probably goes all the way down. So if you're being fed by people like that, it's because you're too lazy to go and search. Stop watching Tucker Carlson. Stop eating Joe Rogan. Stop fucking swallowing this shit. Yes, it feels good. Production value is good. They bring you people who will excite your mind, but they won't tell you the truth. If you want the truth, you've got to go to the places where the truth lies. Here we go. Read through. Musk-Epstein, SpaceX offenders. This is, again, a lot of work. But this is a shorter article than I usually do. It's about 4,000 words. And I hope you enjoy it. Musk and Epstein, SpaceX offenders, by me, Johnny Vedmore. How Jeffrey Epstein and Elon Musk joined forces in 2009 to use SpaceX as a launch pad for transhumanism. And there they are, the boys. 4 days before the election, I released an article entitled Musk and Epstein, the Third Culture Dossier, which revealed Elon Musk's participation in a training course funded by Jeffrey Epstein. In 2008, the grandfather of behavioral nudge units, Richard Thaler, ran a 6-part course in behavioral psychology for John Brockman's Edge, which was funded by Jeffrey Epstein. Alongside a group of technocratic establishments such as Jeff Bezos, Sala Kamanga, Evan Williams, and others, Elon Musk took part in what was entitled a short course in behavioral economics. Edge was an organization where Jeffrey Epstein directly funded the training of the emerging technocratic elite. Those who took part in the Thaler course included a representative of Thiel's Founders Fund, Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, as well as the founders of Napster, Facebook, Blogger, and Twitter. The small group of people involved in John Brockman and Jeffrey Epstein's organization include Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Bill Gates, Marina Abramovich, Jimmy Wales, Eric Weinstein, his brother Brett Weinstein, Eric Lander, Yuval Noah Harari, Ariana Huffington, Richard Dawkins, and even Noam Chomsky. Almost every top player in the tech industry was an Edge member while Epstein funded it, and it was these grand manipulators of society who were mapping out every part of the technocratic panopticon we see emerging around us today. The event happened under the watchful eye of an intelligence-linked human trafficker and financier for various multinational intelligence agencies. In this article, we will discover how Jeffrey Epstein and Elon Musk joined forces in an Edge special project at SpaceX to train the elite of society on how to program cells as if they were an extension of the computer. This is the story of how the wealthiest scientists in the Western world were funded by an elite child trafficking Jeffrey Epstein and began to map out how to read genetic sequences directly into computers where the code can be replicated exactly, manipulated freely, and translated back into living organisms by writing the other way. Essentially, the latter statement describes the dawn of transhumanism. Epstein's technocratic trainers in transhumanism. On the Edge website, George M. Church is described as professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, director of the Center of Computational Genetics, and science advisor to 23andMe. Church is the real deal in the field of genomics. He obtained a degree in chemistry and zoology from Duke University and his PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology from Harvard. In 1984, Church's PhD included the first direct genomic sequencing method. This led to the creation of the Human Genome Project, while Church was a research scientist at Biogen Inc. He received funding from Monsanto, becoming their life sciences research fellow based at UC San Francisco. That there is George Church, that is J. Craig Venter, and that is John Brockman. There in the center, John Brockman. I will be doing a lot of work with Dana, of course, Rotting Jewels, about John Brockman too. He's got some extraordinary links, especially to Andy Warhol and some of the other sex parties that used to happen in the past. What a surprise. Heading up this training alongside George Church was J. Craig Venter, another veteran of the exclusive world of genomics. In 2001, he was the first biologist to sequence and analyze the human genome, and later published the genomic sequence of his diploid human in 2007. Just before he ran this training program at Edge in 2009, his company, SGI, received $600 million investment from ExxonMobil to develop biofuels from algae. Venter was the founder of various genomic projects and programs, including as founder of the Human Genome Sciences, Diverse Corps, and Celera Genomics. Church and Venter are the top scientists in the field of genomics, and they are introduced to us via the Edge website by another legend of the field, George Dyson. In the introduction to this event on synthetic genomics, Dyson began by reminding Elon Musk, Larry Page, Richard Thaler, Sam Harris, and other high-level participants of Aldous Huxley's masterpiece, Ape and Essence, which is set in a dystopian future devastated by nuclear war. Dyson was aware of the importance of such an occasion. He writes, on July 24th, 2009, a small group of scientists, entrepreneurs, cultural impresarios, and journalists that included architects of some of the leading transformative companies of our time, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, PayPal, arrived at Andaz Hotel on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood to be offered a glimpse, guided by George Church and Craig Venter, of a future far stranger than Mr. Huxley had been able to imagine in 1948. In this future, whose underpinnings, as Doctors Church and Venter demonstrated, are here already, life as we know it is transformed not by the era catastrophe of radiation damage to our genetic processes, but by the far greater upheaval caused by discovering how to read genetic sequences directly into the computers, where the code can be replicated exactly, manipulated freely, and translated back into living organisms by writing the other way. We can program these cells as if they were an extension of the computer. George Church announced and proceeded to explain how much progress has already been made. At this 2009 event, the wealthiest and most powerful people in science freely discussed reprogramming living cells and then translating them back into the human subject. It isn't a surprise that Aldous Huxley was used as a reference to describe these efforts, as the participants in the Edge Masterclass in synthetic genomics were designing a dystopian transhumanist vision of the future, one which may risk human extinction. When the most powerful scientists meet to discuss changing the fundamentals of our very existence, we should all take notice. However, when it's funded by an elite sex offender who was released from prison 2 days prior, our concern should increase in scope and scale. And if you notice there's the Pottinger Ultimatum, a really important article, seriously important article. One of the ones I implore you to read if you want to understand the Epstein case. The masterclass training program at Edge was showcase events. The course on synthetic genomics was considered an Edge special project. It might not have been simply the status of the participants which made the masterclass in synthetic genomics so special. It may have been special because it was taking place at SpaceX, an organization the likes of Edge founder John Brockman and his official partner Jeffrey Epstein had been anticipating. These events were a concerted effort to push for breakthroughs in the technology that they believed were imminently obtainable. Church's Harvard lab team had already programmed bacteria to perform separate functions, but they had not yet been able to combine the separate functions into an organized system. The elite scientific community at this time believed programmable cells were right around the corner, and Church and Venter were on the front lines in the development of such advances in biotech. The SpaceX offenders. At the turn of 2009, a Californian startup called Space Exploration Technologies, SpaceX, was celebrating a historic win. SpaceX beat Lockheed Martin and Boeing Company for a $3.1 billion NASA contract. The NASA space shuttle was set for decommissioning in 2010, and Elon Musk's company beat off the competition to declare SpaceX a serious contender in space travel. The contract was a win for both parties, with NASA paying SpaceX around a third of the normal cost for each flight. In June 2009, NASA was considering sending people back to the moon, and SpaceX was already making another proposal, with Elon Musk telling the press, "The whole purpose of SpaceX from the beginning has been human spaceflight. That's why I created it." When Elon Musk spoke those words, Jeffrey Epstein was still serving his open door prison term. The participants of the 2009 Edge Masterclass at Elon Musk SpaceX took part in Epstein-funded training 2 days after Jeffrey Epstein's release from prison for molesting a child. And there you go. That's them there at SpaceX arriving. This is the class, participants for the Edge Masterclass on synthetic genomics. SpaceX turn up. The day before the training began, the Palm Beach Daily News ran a picture of Epstein on their front page under the headline saying, "No monitoring device for Epstein." The article by Michelle Dargan reported that Epstein will serve 1 year probation at 358 El Brillo Way. However, Epstein had already been returning to his El Brillo Way mansion 6 days a week for 16 hours a day since the previous October. Essentially, Epstein was sleeping in prison, and the average day in prison for Epstein lasted 8 hours. Every part of Epstein's prison term was unusual. When Epstein was released in 2009, he didn't leave via the main doors as per usual when inmates are being released. Instead, Epstein left jail through the sally port where prisoners are usually brought in. Although Epstein wouldn't legally be able to attend the Edge special event, we know that he supported it with a $50,000 donation to Edge that year. Some of those involved had also been at Elon Musk's other Edge-based training in 2008. For instance, Richard Thaler was a participant on this occasion, and he had co-hosted the previous course Musk took part in at Edge entitled Libertarian Paternalism, Why It's Impossible Not to Nudge. Nudge should be the word manipulate, really. Alongside Musk and Thaler were some of the most recognizable names in big tech, the media, molecular science, and almost every attendee also had significant links to intelligence. The attendees included Applied Minds W. Daniel Hillis. Facebook co-founder Sean Parker was representative for Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. Intellectual Ventures Nathan Myhrvold attended most Edge events after taking the photographs for the website too. And then Vice President of Google, Salah Kamanga, was also present. Among the attendees of the 2009 Edge Masterclass of SpaceX were some of the Edge organizers. Edge founder John Brockman was there alongside his wife Katinka Matson and his son Max Brockman. There were also various representatives from the media in attendance. Science writer Ed Regis, who had written for the New York Times, Harper's Magazine, and Wired, has a 10-year history of involvement, and in Edge from 2008 to 2018, actually longer than that. Tim O'Reilly founded the eponymous O'Reilly Media and revolutionized the internet by helping to create the idea of open source software and Web 2.0. The Pulitzer Prize winner New York Times journalist John Markoff was expert in covering advances in science, and the Grey Lady had representatives in almost every Edge masterclass. The Grey Lady, of course, is a New York Times, for those who don't know. Filmmaker and son of Bob Dylan, Jesse Byron Dylan, was also at SpaceX for the course. Like Jeffrey Epstein was at the time, Jesse Dylan was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Another big name in the media at the event was Ari Emanuel, the co-founder of Endeavor Talent Agency and executive chairman of TKO Group Holdings, which owns both the WWE and UFC. That there is me going through the source material of the first Epstein Musk article that I did. You can watch it on all platforms, really. While Google co-founder Larry Page and his wife Lucy Page Southworth are some of the big names at the event, the relatively unknown participants are some of the most interesting. Larry Brilliant is an American epidemiologist and technologist who was the inaugural executive director of the charitable arm of Google Inc., named Google.org. In 2009, Brilliant was made the CEO of the newly established Skoll Global Threats Fund. The fund was created by eBay founder Jeff Skoll, supposedly to address pandemics, nuclear proliferation, climate change, water security, and the conflict in the Middle East. Skoll had previously founded the film production company Participant, which produced Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth in 2006. Brilliant has a vast history of top-level establishment appointments. He worked for the United Nations, the G8, the World Health Organization, and chaired George Bush's National Biosurveillance Advisory Subcommittee. Another relatively unknown high-level actor at SpaceX Epstein events was the virologist Nathan Wolff. Wolff was awarded $40 million in funding, which came from various sources, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the U.S. Department of Defense, the National Institute of Health, National Geographic Society, Google.org, and, of course, Skoll Foundation. If someone were to inform you that the wealthiest and most powerful supporters of transhumanism, flanked by the top scientists in the field of genomics, went to a rocket laboratory in the desert to map out the birth of transhumanism, you would be forgiven for believing it's the plot of the newest James Bond movie. However, that might not be too far from the truth. After all, in the real world, James Bond looks more like Jeffrey Epstein. The bulk of the course covered developments in synthetic genomics, and some of the interactions are totally fascinating, although there is also part of the synthetic genomics masterclass which has been hidden from history. Session 4 of the Edge event at SpaceX was entitled Human 2.0, and the video of that part of the seminar has been totally wiped from the record. And that is Elon Musk at SpaceX at the Epstein-funded course that he hosted in combination with Epstein and Brockman's Edge. While searching for this video, I also came across a very comprehensive article by Alexis Baden-Mayer from November 2023 entitled 21st Century Dr. Frankenstein, George Church. Baden-Mayer posits many questions about Edge-funded program in question, George Church's Pentagon CIA-funded work, and some of the wider links to the pandemic. Ed Regis was at the event, and later, writing for the Frankfurter Allgemeine, Regis stated, "The specter of biohackers created a new infectious agent, made it obligatory appearance, but synthetic genomic researchers are, almost of necessity, optimists. George Church, one of those whose special topics was engineering humans 2.0, told the group that DNA is excellent programmable matter. Just as automated sequencing machines can read the natural order of a DNA molecule, automated DNA synthesizing machines can create stretches of deliberately engineered DNA that can be placed inside a cell so as to modify its normal behavior." That's serious. When we think about the implementation of transhumanist technology, we tend to think of synthetically made chips and wires poking out of our skulls. However, one facet of synthetic genomics is direct recording of the cells inside the subject. The most pessimistic view of such meddling is human extinction, whereas the optimistic vision is a tale as old as time, the hunt for eternal life. Talking again about George Church's desire to alter the fundamental building blocks of humanity, Ed Regis writes later, George Church had the final say in a lecture entitled Engineering Human 2.0. Human beings, he noted, are limited to a variety of things by their ability to concentrate and remember, by the shortness of their lifespan, and so on. The genomic engineering could be used to correct all of these deficiencies and more. The common laboratory mouse, he noted, had an average lifespan of 2.5 years. The naked mole rat, by contrast, lives 10 times longer, to the ripe old age of 25. It would be possible to find a gene that contributed to the longevity of the naked mole rat, and by importing those genes into the lab mouse, you could slowly increase its longevity. An analogous process could also be tried on human beings, increasing their lifespans and adding to their memory capacity. But the question was whether it was wise to do this, not whether it can be done. John Markov is also a primary source at the event and produced an article for the New York Times entitled Synthetic Life, where he writes, for someone who has spent the past 3 decades writing about computing, Dr. Venter's talk was eye-opening. I view DNA as an analog information system, he said, and I hope to convince you, in fact, that it is absolutely the software of life. It should be noted that many of the members of the press at these events had themselves been groomed by John Brockman and Associates. For instance, John Markov's 50th birthday party in 1999 was hosted by John Brockman and advertised as though it was an Edge event. While watching the videos of the Epstein-funded SpaceX Edge Masterclass in Synthetic Genomics, most of the high-level scientists involved appear impetuous. The issue with quickly developing dangerous technology is that it creates unexpected risk, and that is acknowledged by the participants. Regardless of the potential risks, most of the high-level players attending this event suggest developing technology as quickly as possible while hoping that we'll also develop solutions simultaneously. The technologies these people are creating could lead to extinction-level events. It can be assured that the vast majority of society would prefer those in charge to approach extinction-level events carefully rather than at high speed with their fingers crossed. George Church's short course in synthetic genomics has been cited in various academic works, such as Coping with the Complexity in Metabolic Engineering, Xenobiology, and A New Form of Life as the Ultimate Biosafety Tool. Over 15 years have passed, and the technology has advanced significantly, however, not significantly enough to extend Jeffrey Epstein's life. Edge. The Musk years onwards. Musk didn't only evolve himself in Edge, he hosted an Edge Masterclass special event at SpaceX, and he joined Jeffrey Epstein in person for the 2011 Edge Billionaires Dinner. Musk could be forgiven for his involvement in Jeffrey Epstein's Edge if the child trafficking arms smuggler hadn't already been convicted. Musk's first Edge Masterclass was a few months after Epstein was jailed. The second event which Musk attended was 2 days after he had been released. However, Musk wasn't the only famous name to attend training by the most infamous sexual offender in history. One of the most significant points to make about Edge is that the attendees have had a massive say over the construction of our modern society, sometimes in ways which have been hidden or obscured. One of the attendees of Edge events from after Jeffrey Epstein's conviction was Eric R. Weinstein, who was at the time a close ally and employee of Peter Thiel. Of course, you can read Eric R. Weinstein's Great Replacement here about his work for the UN. Eric Weinstein has attempted to distance himself from Epstein, claiming to have met him only once. The former managing director of Thiel Capital appeared on the Diary of CEO podcast and told the host Steve Bartlett, I don't know who Jeffrey Epstein was, but I would certainly bet money that he was a product of at least one or more elements of the intelligence community. Jeffrey Epstein indeed played an extremely significant role as an intelligence asset, and Eric Weinstein should know what an intelligence asset looks like. The intelligence community is one of Peter Thiel's biggest funding streams. It's impossible to be the managing director of Thiel Capital and not be involved with intelligence. Literally impossible, really impossible. They're supplying, I mean, they're funding a load of drones and bombs that are being used in all war fronts at the moment. Edge itself was essentially a mixer for intelligence-linked technocratic mobsters to meet the scientists who could make their dreams a reality, essentially the definition of John Brockman's vision of a third culture. Some of Weinstein's initial public interactions with Edge were in 2010, when he was asked to contribute to the Edge annual question of 2010, which was titled, "How is the Internet Changing the Way You Think?" alongside over 120 other contributors. Eric Weinstein wasn't just a visitor at Edge, he was an official member of the Reality Club too. Some of the members of John Brockman's original Reality Club, the precursor to Edge, included Isaac Asimov, Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, and Charles Manson associate Paul Krasner. In 2010, Weinstein accepted the invitation to take part in Edge's special events, including the Ash Cloud presented by John Brockman and Thaler's Question with Richard Thaler. But there was another event that year which Eric Weinstein took part in alongside Marina Abramovich and Tim Berners-Lee and others. The Edge event, hosted in October 2010 in London's Serpentine Gallery, was entitled Maps for the 21st Century. Eric Weinstein has a long association with establishment institutions, including university ties to the Office of Naval Research, writing a flagship paper for the UN called Migration for the Benefit of All, along with his work creating Peter Thiel's technocratic panopticon, which threatens to chain us all. After 2010, Eric Weinstein took part in an Edge event every year until 2018. You can go and check out the News Hound, where I go through the source material showing about Eric, what I just said about Eric Weinstein's being true. Eric's brother, Brett Weinstein, is also classified as a member of Edge, but he got involved in the organization very late. In 2018, Brett Weinstein took part in Edge's annual question entitled, "What is the Last Question?" However, the detail of Brett's submissions are limited to the title of his entry. Can humans set a non-evolutionary course that is game theoretically stable? Brett Weinstein has now extrapolated that question into a theory referred to as Game B. Essentially, Game B leads to a new digital technocracy which rises like a phoenix from the flames out of the burning rubble of our current society. For that to happen, our society first needs to be set aflame. From the Edge website, we can ascertain that Jeffrey Epstein was present on a few occasions with some of the biggest players in technology. For instance, the Edge Billionaires Dinner of 2004, he had an all-star lineup alongside Epstein, with the Edge site stating, "The innovation continues, and a number of people who showed up for the dinner are really cooking. Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Google's CEO Eric Schmidt, Larry, Sergey, Laurie Park, and Megan Smith, Pierre Omidyar, founder of eBay, Dean Kamen, inventor of Segway, Steve Case, former chairman of AOL Time Warner, who is now on the New Adventures, and Jeffrey Epstein, who recently endowed the program for evolutionary dynamics at Harvard University, which is involved in research and applications of mathematics and computer science to biology." During the 2004 event, Larry Page's pager informed the attendees that he and his Google's co-founder, Sergey Brin, had made the Forbes list of 157 billionaires. Also, at the meeting, Epstein apparently demanded to know whether weird quantum effects had played a significant role in the origins of life. However, Epstein didn't simply join the conversation at Edge, rather he owned the conversation. All the members bent their knees to Epstein, even after he was a convicted sex offender. Musk and Epstein out of the closet. When I first revealed that Elon Musk went through Epstein-funded training, I believed that Musk himself would have to admit clear association with a child trafficking billionaire. Instead, Elon Musk has continued to use Epstein case as a political football. Even the official AI of Elon Musk's X platform seemed programmed to resist officially associating Musk with Edge. However, I was able to challenge Grok, and after a series of inane arguments, Grok finally had to admit that Elon Musk had gone through Epstein-funded training program. My question to Grok was carefully constructed to leave the AI model with nowhere left to hide. So, Grok, you're saying that Elon Musk hosted a training course at SpaceX, which he also attended, which was directly funded by Jeffrey Epstein. Yes or no? Answers only. There you go, that's a tweet there. Although Grok had tried very hard to not to concede that Elon Musk had significant links to Jeffrey Epstein via Edge, in the end, the question was too direct for the AI model to avoid answering precisely. Grok responded, stating, yes, Epstein's $50,000 donation to Edge in 2009 supported its activities, including the synthetic genomics masterclass hosted at SpaceX, which Musk attended. There you go. That's Grok having to admit there. One like. No one really saw this conversation, which I'm quite glad about, but I felt it was important for this article to have that conversation. The entire media should be reporting on this extremely vital link between Musk and Epstein. Every platform from the BBC and Fox News to Tucker Carlson and Daily Beast, as well as New York Times, should have published articles revealing that the heads of almost every major tech company received Epstein-funded training. However, the media world, both mainstream and independent, has avoided this story. Big tech corporations like Microsoft, Google, X, Amazon, Facebook, etc., are in almost total control of the algorithms. These manipulative and untrustworthy companies can systematically cover up and obscure their association with a known criminal enterprise, illicit and illegal intelligence operations, and, most importantly, scientific knowledge itself. Anyone who warns about the dangers of transhumanism is painted as kooky. However, the risks which come with the development of transhumanist technology are fast approaching and significant. A small group of scientists have now taken almost total control over not only the development of such biotech, but also the direction of research, which should concern us even more. Should concern us even more is that an extraordinarily sinister intelligence-linked child trafficker became central to organizing and funding the top echelons of elite technophiles. As the media turns digital, the ability to hold the powerful to account relies on permission from the official algorithms. Unfortunately, these algorithms are designed by the same companies that use them to obscure their illegal and illicit connections. As soon as Elon Musk took over X, the platform lurched from one political wing to another. Musk then weaponized the algorithms to help the Republican Party gain political office and was rewarded with political office. Musk's seemingly unlimited power spans various sectors of society. Musk has vast corporate power, and he's involved in the creation of serious military technology, including manufacturing weapons, military and strategic satellite communication, space travel, and significant foothold in the field of synthetic biology. Whenever Musk becomes involved with technology, it is soon after weaponized. Should one person be able to wield significant military, corporate, and propaganda power and still be allowed into political office? Same question. Musk and Epstein have a lot in common. They've both been wealthy arms dealers with serious links to intelligence. They hung around in the same circles, and they were once both important allies to the Democratic Party. Most of all, Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein were fervent advocates of transhumanism. It feels peculiar to suggest that a handful of humans could lead us over the precipice and cause the extinction of humanity. But this seems to be the intention of the scientists involved in the joint Musk-Epstein training, which took place at SpaceX in 2009. They see it as a new era for mankind or of mankind, and they're willing to break the rules to make it happen. While researching the members of Edge, I have realized that it is not hubris we observe here, it is haughtiness. The arrogance of the people, their disdain for humanity, and their sense of superiority are palpable. These elite scientists already consider themselves to be the most intelligent representatives of humankind. Ethically and morally, they already consider themselves above humans, or you may say transhuman. Please buy me a coffee. Support this work. I really mean it. I mean, it's hard. Life is hard. It's hard for everybody. I understand that, but this, yeah, I'm I'm out here doing as much as I possibly can. Just a tiny little bit of help, and I'll appreciate it. I want to make a note. The information in this article was not hidden. It was freely available for any researcher or journalist to find. However, it pays for most media platforms to avoid or ignore heavily censored work. Please support this journalism. It's time intensive and very hard to promote, as a subject and author, myself, are so heavily censored. NEWSPASTE wants to acknowledge others who have also covered this subject, including Art is Brutal 2021 on X. I put a link in there. Please go follow Art is Brutal. In actual fact, while I've been preparing this one for a while, but a week before Art is Brutal posted out a load of links to the synthetic genomic conference, because always ahead. I mean, out of everybody else that's on Twitter, one of the most ahead accounts, and totally censored, gets really pushed down the algorithm. But fantastic account you should follow. Alexis Bader-Mayer was impressive to find her work. Works. It's for a non-profit, and that always makes me a bit suspicious because of the way they use non-profits to kind of release information and not, that won't get much attention. But it was really far down. I only found it because I was searching exactly for Humans 2.0 section of the Synthetic Genomics Conference. I was trying to see if I could find a video for that, and that came up in her article, and that was the only way I found it. So that was impressive work. And Courtney Turner, of course, is doing a lot of work on Brett Weinstein's Game B, something that needs to be understood. The Weinsteins, Eric Weinstein, he's blocked me now, of course. He's not my friend anymore. He doesn't like me. He said a lot of different things to me, mostly insulting, because I've revealed things about him. And there is more to come, my friends. That stuff is pretty significant, but I will be writing a little bit more in detail. And of course, Truth Bomb. Listen, Baselit Analyzer versus Jason Bamas. That is a 3.5 hour quiz show that's like 2 podcasts whooped together with a quiz in there too. So it is so much fun. Really, really, I love doing Truth Bomb. I want to do more, but I really need to get some funding. Really, you can help support my work on Substack by becoming a member. The Black Hand series, I suggest everybody read. Of course, you could become a patron. Loads of ways to support me, but the majority, what I say is share the work, get it round. I am the algorithms got me locked down. They got me locked down for a reason. The reason is I'm bringing you information. I'm bringing you answers. All of these other guys are bringing you questions. All these other guys are bringing you information of what's manifesting at the time and opinions galore. I will bring you answers. I will bring you evidence. I will bring you sources. And the people I work with will do the same as well. I work with people who bring sources. They bring something to the table and they prove what they're saying. We're not messing around anymore. We've been within this area of the media. We've been told over and over and over again that we're conspiracy theorists, etc., etc. So what we've done is, in response, we've locked down sources, we've locked down the evidence, and for that reason, they avoid talking to us completely. We're not on the channels that that loads of people are pushed. Loads of people say, "Oh, look, Tucker Carlson has changed now." Blah, 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 blah. It's all bollocks. It's all bollocks. If you're really looking for Tucker Carlson and his interviews to give you information, or you're looking for Joe Rogan and his interviews to give you information, or anyone on the intellectual dark web, or all these people who are involved systematically with this corruption, and I don't want to say it out loud, but I think the term is you're a fucking idiot. You know, you can't look at them anymore. Just turn away from the mainstream. The mainstream has changed. The mainstream is digital now. It's the Tucker Carlsons, it's the Joe Rogans, the CNN and Fox. They're all dead. They're all dead. They're dead. They're long gone. They're boosted. They're paying. They're spending their money. Those platforms will die. They're already gone. Already gone. The mainstream is already back. They're pumping you full of Ryan Dawson. They're pumping you full of Ian Carroll. They're giving you all of the people who will give you the one line. Oh, Jeffrey Epstein was Mossad. Jeffrey Epstein was Mossad. Oh, only look that way. Only look that way. Only look that way. Where Jeffrey Epstein was 100 different things, working for 100 different people, and it's all provable within inside. Even they can't do it. You know, I'm listening to people who are supposed Epstein experts, and most of them seem like they're trying to position themselves in a place where they're going to benefit later, not in a place where they're going to deliver the truth, show you what's really going on. And I'm going to do that. So come support my work. Come to Substack. Come to Patreon. Follow me around the place. Hey, you know, you will not hear my voice unless you come to see what I'm up to. And, you know, the algorithm, eventually, maybe one day they'll just release it. Maybe I'll be free. But I ain't been free my whole career. So, you know, help me get out there, please. Love you. Do this, you know, this is work that I love to do. This is work that I'm passionate about. I have barely anybody else who helps me when it comes down to research and stuff. So I have the view that's objective. I take the information, I put it in chronological order, and I give it to you. And that's the best way to get. So listen, thanks for joining me on this. This has been a Johnny Vedmore read through. Find me at Johnny Vedmore or on NEWSPASTE.com. Love. Bye.
What we know is that we will end up with many more unemployed